All right, this is our second video on classes. Not going to be a whole lot of new material here, but I think this deserves a little repetition because, like I said, we're going to be spending the next 2 weeks on it. All right, here I've got a class and I'm calling it student, and all this class is going to do is calculate the GPA. All right, in this class, all right, I've got four things that are unique to the class. I've got a name, number of quality points, number of hours, that's the number of hours taken, and GPA. All right. Um, I've got my setters and getters. Again, setters are mutators, getters are accessors. All right. I've got void set name, which is going to take in a string and assign it to name. I got set quality points, which is going to do the same. If it's going to take in a double and set it to quality points. And I've got set number of hours, which is going to take in an integer and set it to the number of hours. That's the number of hours taken. GPA is just going to be a calculation, right? I'm going to put a space in here so you can see the getters and setters separated. So there's my setters, and here's my four getters. Don't forget on each of the getters, right? Each of the accessors, getters, are constants, right? You don't want to forget that when you're. I'd like to tell you exactly the mistakes and problems it causes, but it's just. It seems like it's different all the time. You will start getting mistakes. You'll start looking for error. Start looking for your error, and it comes down to something as simple as just putting in a const. All right. So we've got get name, get quality points, get num hours, and get GPA. That's our whole student class. In this, I'm going to make 3 students. I could make 5 students, 100 students, 200 students. There's no limit to the amount of students I can make. This is an object, and with this object, I can make as many as I want. All right, that's our class. Now we're going to look at our member functions. And they're almost repetitious when you start writing classes. This week it's a 1-file class program. Next week we're going to have our class programs. We're going to have 3, maybe 5 different files that we're going to use. Over here we've only used so far. We've mainly only used the source files. We're going to be using the resource and header files here in the near future. All right, set name is going to take in a string and assign it to name. Set quality points is going to take in a double and assign it to quality points. Set number of hours is going to take in an integer and set it to num hours. That's our 3 setters. And again, setters are mutators. Here's our getters. Okay, all it's going to do is return. We pass it nothing, and all of these are going to return something. Get name is going to return a string name. Quality points is just going to return quality points, which is a double. Get num hours is going to return the hours the student takes, right? It's going to return an integer. And GPA is going to actually do a calculation, quality points divided by num hours, and return a double. So we've got 7 member functions, class functions. They're called different things. So you'll hear me call it member functions most of the time, but I think the book might refer to it as class functions. So we've had the class, the member functions. Now we're ready for main. All right, I'm going to make 3 students, student S1, S2, S3. So basically 3 objects, 3 copies of that class. Right now I've got 3 empty classes, all right, student classes. They're totally empty. I need to fill them up and do something with them. All right, as far as like local variables here in the main, I'm going to use hours, points, and S name. All right, again, just remember S1, S2, S3, that's my students. I'm going to fill them up one at a time. What's the student's name? All right, I'm going to put it into the local variable S name. How many points? I'm going to put it into the local variable points. And how many hours? I'm going to put it into the local variable hours. Then I'm just going to use our setters. I'm going to set the S name to set name, S name to set name in student one. I'm going to set the points to set quality points in student one. I'm going to set the hours to set number of hours in student one. So now student hours, since the fourth getter actually does the math, it is totally filled up with information. I'm going to go down. A lot of cut and paste when you do a program using class. All right. I basically just cut and paste this, and actually I think that's an identical cut and paste because I'm using the exact same local variables. Notice how I put the local variables, which I declared here inside of main. I put them inside of all the setters. All right, what's the student's name? S name, again, points, hours. So I had to use the cn.ignore. Sometimes there's just garbage left from your code, and it kept wanting to skip past the sentence. So a cn.ignore here got rid of that. But now that I've got S name, points, and hours, basically just rewritten from the first time through this, I'm going to set it to student 2. So do the same thing with the third student, which is S3. Look at the code. It's identical except for the S3 down here because I keep reusing the local variables and just writing over them each time. So 3 cut and paste, all I did was change S1, S2, S3. So now all 3 of my classes are full of information. Now I'm going to output them. Okay, I output a couple endls. I set width at 22 and I left justify it, and I put name and GPA. Then I'm going to, for my output, set 22 again. Right, I like that, I played with it. I tried it. Some of my names I typed in were a little bit long. I initially started out at 15. You just have to play with it. But now I set width at 22. I'm going to see out get name. That's the name that I got from my. I used my CN to enter the get name. All right. I'm setting precision 2 because I want my GPA to read like 3.27, 1.89. So I set the precision to 2. Fixed, which means coupled with set precision 2 means it's going to be 2 numbers past the decimal. All right. Left justified, then I output set GPA, get GPA, which does the calculations. And that's it. I'm going to do a copy of that 3 times. I'm going to see out the name that I got and the math from the get GPA function. Down here, I've got system pause. This 99% chance this is not causing you any problem. But every so often, the IDE, Visual Studios, does some wonky stuff. And this is just a temporary patch until I can fix this. I got to go into the settings. What's been happening is my program, all of a sudden, the output will flash, and then it goes away, and I have to go down here and bring it up. And it's just a pain. This will at least allow it to pause there so I can take a look at it until I go in my settings and get that fixed. So if you ever have that issue where your screen, all of a sudden your output flashes for like a millisecond and then goes away, you can put system pause until you get time to go in and actually work with all these tools and all that. Sometimes that can be a dark hole of time. All right, that's my whole program. I'm going to run it once. I'm going to run it with my 3 kids' names. Oldest is Samantha. Let's say she got 48 points, took 12 hours. My second one is Gabrielle. Let's say she had 37 quality points and she also took 12 hours. And my son, he had 29 points and he took 12 hours. So there's their name. You can tell the indentations because of my set width and their GPA. All right, take a good look over this program. This is, and structurally, it's the same as the program I posted yesterday. All right, you've got your class with your private variables and your public functions. You've got your member functions or your class functions. Basically, all you have right now, we're going to add more next week, but right now all you have is setters and getters, mutators and accessors. And then you have your main, all right, where you declare 3 students, 3 objects. All right. You keep asking the user to take in local variables, then putting them in your setters, which you've prompted here. All right. These basically these cut and paste. You know, there's my input. All right. In my setters for S student 1, student 2, student 3, and then there's my output. Like I said in the last video, it would be really advantageous for you to read the first 12, 15 pages of chapter 13. A lot of it's just restating the same stuff I did, but it'll help you with your program. And it's not a program. Basically, we're just going to be working on Monday night. It's a completion thing. I'm going to give you, it counts as your daily work, which you do get points for, just like you get points for watching the videos and answering the questions. Basically, I'm going to give you a program, a 1-page program to write like this. It's going to have a class. It's going to have setters and getters, which again are member functions or class functions, and it's going to have a main. The bigger project next week will be have the same thing. It's still going to have a class function. It's still going to have member functions, and it's going to have a main, but they will be different files that you'll have to access using this panel over here to the right. All right, right now, the first thing I want you to understand how to use is the setters and getters, all right, and how to make a class, and how to work with the setters and getters to output and manipulate the data like you want. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. I still haven't made up my mind of whether I'm going to watch it. Probably just going to watch the halftime.